Hello friends, in today's video we're going to be working on this Ford Fiesta. This is 2009 model. We have a problem with front left hand side suspension is making severe noise, and after doing a further investigation we found out that the front left hand side coil spring is broken, anti-roll bar linkage on the front left hand side top and bottom mount is worn out, and also the strut top mount is worn out as well. So we're gonna be changing all three components at the same time, so just gonna crack on with it. In order to remove the strut so that we can change the coil spring, we'll have to remove the top anti-roll bar linkage nut here to disconnect the linkage from the top mount. Okay, then also we'll have to remove these two bolts here, this one and this one. So that's the two bolts we'll have to remove, and also we'll have to disconnect the brake pipe clamp from here. Right, also we'll have to remove these three nuts here, 1 2 3. So the three nuts we'll have to remove, and that's gonna allow the whole strut to drop down. Obviously we're gonna hold it while we are removing them. Right, so before we remove these nuts and bolts, what we're gonna do is we're gonna use a wire brush to clean off the thread so that the nuts can come off easily. Right, so next what we're going to do is we're going to spray a little bit of WD-40 on these nuts and bolts. Right, so we're going to be using a 17mm socket to undo the anti-roll bar linkage top mount nut. Right, so the problem here we have is that the pin is spinning. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a 5mm hex to lock the pin, like this, and then we're going to try taking off the nut. We have an issue here. This top nut doesn't want to come off, so we'll have to use the angle grinder. Right, now that we have cut the pin, so we're going to use a bar. I'm just going to tap it out like this. There we go. Right, so next what we're going to do is we're going to use 19mm socket to slacken off these two nuts so that we can pull out the bolts. So I've slackened the top one off, so just going to slacken the bottom one off as well. There we go. Right, so now that we have slackened the nuts, so we're going to use a ratchet spanner to undo the nuts. There we go, that's the top nut out of the way. We're going to keep the bolt in that for time being. So now we're going to do the bottom one. Right, so we are having a little issue here, so we're going to use this bar instead to lock the bolt from spinning. Let me just tap a bit. There we go. That was a bit of a mission to remove this nut, but we managed to take it off. Alright, so next we're gonna undo this clamp here, which is gonna disengage the brake pipe from the strut. It's a 10mm bolt which we're gonna remove. So just gonna try to slacken it off. This one is rounded off as well. It looks to me that it hasn't been taken out in the past. Right, so I've tried removing this 10mm bolt to disengage the clamp, but it's not coming off. What we're going to do is we're going to use a bolt extractor socket. So what I'm doing here is I'm just going to tap it in with the hammer. We're going to use a ratchet to undo it. That was a bit of a mission. There we go. Now we can just disconnect it from the strut. There we go. Right, so next what we're going to do is we're going to remove these 3 nuts. That's going to allow the strut to drop down. Obviously we're going to hold it. So we're using a 13mm spanner. There we go. So that's one of the nut out of the way. So there's one at the back which is a little bit tricky. So lacking space. There we go, so that's the second nut, and then the third one is just there. There we go, so that's the third nut out of the way. Right, so just gonna disengage the bolts so that we can free the strut from the hub. Also we're gonna remove this ABS sensor cable. Just gonna put it to the side. So just gonna remove the bottom bolt. What we're gonna do is we're gonna rest the arm suspension on the axle stand so that it doesn't drop off. There you go. So just gonna pull it out. There we go. So here's the whole strut. So we're gonna use this press to remove this old coil spring and fit the new one. So this coil spring is missing one loop, the whole loop. It just fell off somewhere. So we're just gonna place it in here, and then we're gonna use the press right. In order to remove this middle nut, what we're gonna do is we're gonna place placing this tool in here like this to stop the top strut mount from moving. There we go. So we're going to use a adjustable wrench to undo the nut. There we go. So that's the top nut out of the way, and also we're gonna pull the mount out. So the mount is faulty as well. So what we're gonna do here now is we're gonna pull the strut out in this manner. There we go. So that's the sleeve, the dust sleeve, and so now what we're going to do is we're going to release the press to remove the broken coil spring. Okay, that's the old broken coil spring removed. Right, here comes the new coil spring. It's gonna place it in here. Just going to compress it. Dust gaiter goes in here like this. Then the strut. So you're just gonna lock in place so that it doesn't drop down. We're gonna use the new strut mount which goes here. Then it's the top nut goes in. So we're just gonna tighten the nut. Okay, so we're gonna lock the middle spindle. Make sure that it's fully secured. There, that's fully on. So next what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring the spring here in this position, and I remove the adjustable wrench. Right, here we go. I'll fit the new coil spring and the strut mount nicely. Right, so before we fit the strut back onto the car, we're going to remove this nut here. So this is for the bottom anti-roll bar linkage nut. There we go. So we managed to remove this one without any trouble. Right, here comes the strut. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna line up this these holes to drive in the bolts. On the bottom one. Okay, that's that done. There we go. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna place in the brake pipe clamp here. We'll use a new bolt on that one. Just gonna drive in these nuts, 2 of them. Right, so we're going to be using a 18mm ratchet spanner on this side and a 15mm ratchet spanner on this side to tighten the bolts. There we go. So next is the bottom bolt. There we go. So we're not gonna tighten it till we secure the strut top mount. So I placed in one nut so that we can hold the strut upwards position so that it doesn't go down. So now we're gonna drive in the other 2 nuts, one here and then one at the back. Right, so just gonna tighten these 3 nuts. There we go. So that's this front nut fully secured. Just gonna secure this one now. Now, the one at the back, the tricky one, just gonna drive it in with my hand and then torque it up. There we go. So that's all 3 nuts fully secured. So the top strut mount is fully secured to the turret. Right, so next we're going to secure this brake pipe clamp. So we're using a different bolt. That's because the original bolt had got rounded off when we were trying to remove it. So just gonna drive that in. There we go. That's that, nicely secured. Right, so now we're gonna secure the ABS cable onto the strut. There we go. And one here under the wheel arch. There we go. So that's that done. This clip fits in here. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna fit the new anti-roll bar linkage. So here is our new anti-roll bar linkage. Before you fit it, just make sure that it's the right size. So you just compare it with the old one. So that is the right size. Right, so this one can go either way. So the way it gets fitted is like this at the bottom. So just gonna secure this nut at the bottom. So next what we're gonna do is we're gonna press down the anti-roll bar itself. Like this. There we go. The top nut. Right, so we're going to use a 15mm ratchet spanner. Just going to lock the spindle. There we go, that's nice and tight. We're gonna secure the bottom linkage. No, there we go. Just gonna make sure that it's fully secured. That's nice and tight. So that's the anti-roll bar linkage fully secured. So next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna torque up these two bolts. So just gonna torque it up. There we go. That's good enough. There we go. That's fully secured. Right, here we go, friends. We have fitted the new coil spring, new anti-roll bar linkage, and the new strut mount on this Ford Fiesta 2009 model. I hope you find my videos helpful. Please do like, share, subscribe my channel. Thank you very much for watching the video.